I'm Cass.
I'm Kayle.
Welcome to Rooted. Wait, I'm gonna do podcast.
Okay.
Take 2. Hi, I'm Podcast.
I'm Kayle.
Welcome to Rooted. So, I think that a good topic today to discuss is dealing with. Why are you laughing? You already know what's about to happen. We have an upcoming interview. Yes, I say we. It's you, but we as a family are all impacted by it. It's a great opportunity, and I think that this is a good time to kind of just discuss mentally where we deal with things when we're really looking forward to them and trying to still give it to God. And we talk about that a lot after the fact, not in the moment. You say, okay, well, once I learned in the grief, I gave it to God, and but I think this would be a good time to talk about being in it, in the moment, in the nervousness before the interview. So yeah, I don't know. I think that being that this is the third one coming up, it feels really good. It feels like a given, but it also could not go well. So um, mentally being okay with whatever happens.
Yeah, it's weird. I think, before I got saved, if I were to have called out to God, it would be make this happen. Right? Like I'm asking, even early in my faith, it would have been, this is what I want. Move mountains for me.
Mm-hmm.
And where I'm at in my faith today, that's not my prayer. My prayer is it's for God's will to be done. If this is where I'm supposed to be, make it obvious. Make it as little pain as necessary. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with that, I think we were talking about this yesterday. Everybody, all my friends, I've hit up most of my good Christian mentor style friends one on one and been like, hey, can you pray for me in this situation? And again, it's not, can you pray that I get this job? Because obviously the Lord provides exactly what we need, and sometimes more. But there was a common theme with everyone I talked to, including you, really, that was like, oh, give it to God, man. You'll be fine. And that expression kind of made me want to put my face through the drywall.
Yeah, no, I know.
And it's not, and don't get it wrong. Yes, you should do that, right? But we have these cookie cutter expressions as believers that when we don't actually think about, what did you say yesterday? All the meat and potatoes of it or nuts and bolts.
The details.
Yeah, when you don't actually process what that means on a granular level, it sounds like, nah, don't worry about anything. You're good. Right. And no, bro. So this interview, yes, this is the third of 3 interviews. I'm very optimistic. I think that of all of the positions that I've applied for over the years, this would probably be the one that's the most tailor fitted to my personality, my experience. I think, even some guys in the club that don't know me that well, when I explained the role, they were like, it's made for you, bro. So I have that where I think it would be a great fit. Obviously, financially, it would change a lot for our family. It would open a lot of doors, like with Elijah and that hockey academy. Being able to afford that would be great. But kind of trailing off here, the give it to God aspect. Oh, so yeah. So it is the third interview, which feels like, well, you passed 1, you passed 2, just 1 more to go. But the first interview was a traditional recruiter feeling you out kind of deal. Hey, do you on paper meet the basic qualifications to move forward? That kind of thing. The guy's not inherently technical. So those are usually guaranteed anyway. Then the next interview was more personality fit a little bit more. Tell me about your experience. But it wasn't the boss. It was people who'd be my peers. So that was very relaxed. And so it's all right, knock 1 out, knock 2 out, only 1 to go. But on a difficulty progression standpoint, the third might as well be a whole different process, right? This isn't a conversation. This isn't tell me about your experience or, point us to a time when kind of stuff. I have to give a long presentation that I have to come up with from scratch, that details a lot of technical information, while you already know, but it's a huge undertaking. And so when everyone's like, give it to God, bro, you got this. I'm like, I give the outcome to God, sure. But I have to make the presentation. I have to know what I'm going to say for each slide. I have to put in the time to be able to do this. And I think the anxiety, the fear around it isn't, what if I don't get this job? I mean, honestly, that is part of it.
Right.
But I trust in God enough that whatever the outcome is, I'm going to be okay with it. I might not be happy about it, but I will trust God through it. My fear is being underprepared. My fear is going in not having a full understanding of what I'm trying to present. The way that they've structured it is I give this great big presentation, and it's on like operational technology, cybersecurity, best practices, and product demonstration. It's not like something generic. It's specific and technical. Anyway, then the latter half of the interview is open form Q&A. I don't know if that's about what I'm presenting,
right,
or like anything. And so like,
what is your favorite color?
Right. And so like the first half I can prepare for, right? And I kind of like that because I'm more in control of my performance. I was going to say the outcome, and that's not necessarily true, but like normally going to an interview, you don't even have an idea of what they're going to be asking you, right? Like it could be anything within a certain spectrum. This, I know, well, I don't fully know yet, but I will know, God willing, exactly what I'm going to say for the first half of the interview if I put the work in today. The second half is the unknown, and it's interesting because it's kind of like a personification of life in a way. Like you might have the first part figured out, and you have no idea what's coming in the second half, but you have to trust God through it anyway. But anyway, so yeah, no, I'm feeling a lot. I'm feeling pressure to perform. Obviously, I'm thinking about the finances after the fact, right? If this goes well, what can change? The level of stress that could come off of the family, at least for a season, is huge. And kind of unrelated but related in a way, we were high income earners for a long time, and we've gotten to experience the other side of that coin pretty intimately these last couple of years. And I don't necessarily strive to get back towards being a high income earner, but a little bit of stability and ability to project what the next 30 days could look like is a piece that I took for granted when we had it.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get back to the point where I never check the price tag when I go to the grocery store to make sure I'm buying the more efficient pack of chicken breasts or whatever. But man, to know for sure the mortgage is going to go through when we press the button, or to know for sure that the oil company is going to show up because the payment went through. Like I'm associating every financial issue that we've experienced with this as the remedy. And not just a job, but this one. And I think I'm putting myself in a bit of a trap, because if it doesn't go through, then like internally that hyper compounds all the other small issues as like a failure in this way. So give it to God. Yes. You can't surrender. We've talked about this on here. You can't just surrender like 6 out of 8 things. You either have to surrender or you don't. Tracking. Give this situation to God. Also tracking. But boy, if I don't stay up until 2:00 in the morning, making sure this presentation is together, I know exactly what I'm going to say. I have the transitions down. I know, ballpark how I'm going to approach the thing. I can't show up tomorrow unprepared and say, but I gave it to God.
But then in preparation, there's also being well rested. So there is like if you back it up to, real quick, I'm going to interject. If this is a listener's first episode that they've ever heard, when he said the guys in the club, it's a Christian motorcycle club. That's what he meant. Just want to point that out, because if they don't start on episode 1, they might not know.
That's fair.
But going back to the giving it to God, I was on a podcast recently, and she said, "Well, how did you give it to God?" And I had to really pause and go into that granularity that you mentioned, and the details. It's so easy, and it's such a Christianese, as you call it.
Sure.
Say, "We'll give it to God." Okay, but how?
Which aspects?
Right. And so then if you look at it from the lens of our humanity and our expectations and what would make us feel some level of peace, we go, okay, well, I have anxiety right now. What is it about? It is about being prepared for this. It's about the unknown of what they're going to say to me. So you can't fully prepare for unknowns, right? But you can probably guess the few items that they might cover. And you know what your strong suits in this are, and you know what you don't know. And you've already been honest with them about what you don't know and need to learn.
Sure.
So at that point, in any situation, when we say give it to God, and I think you bringing up the hockey academy for Elijah is good as well. We started in the beginning of this with him, and we were like, hey, listen, you have one academy from one person who Kayle happened to speak to, who noticed your growth and who you were a year ago, and now sees the change in you and is willing to have a cup of coffee about this. It is a tier 1 team. You are a house team kid. We love you. You're a great human, but you're clearly not tier 1 yet, right? So you'll get there if somebody's willing to train you, and we can financially make it happen to get you there.
Yeah.
And then we prepared him for, okay, well, give it to God, right? You're going to go ahead and pray about it. We're going to pray about it. And if things start happening that feel right, then we will keep moving. And if things feel like doors are closing, then we will stop. That doesn't mean we're not going to put the effort in. We did. And in that effort and other conversations, we ended up with a second academy that was interested in him. And so in visiting academies and talking to people, we then found warm fuzzies somewhere else that wasn't even the original item. And when we came to the conclusion that it was a stepping stone instead of the definite thing that had to happen, we saved a little bit of money in the contract, but also with that said, okay, this is starting to feel like it's a yes. So let's see where that goes and continue to pray about it. And then with that, you're now on interview 3 for a job that would make this a little easier to stomach financially.
A little easier.
A little easier. But with that, the other half of or third of the giving it to God that at least I personally experienced in the last month was the beginning of the month of May is very difficult for me. It is Mother's Day. My mom has passed away. My daughter died right before Mother's Day. It was also her birthday 5 days prior to that Mother's Day. Anyway, depending on when Mother's Day falls, it always lands somewhere smack dab in the middle of our deceased daughter's birthday, her death day, and then I'm obviously thinking about my mom a lot. So while I'm trying to enjoy Mother's Day, I'm also trying to go, give it to God, give it to God, give it to God. And it's been 9 years since Emerson passed, and I grieve differently now, but giving it to God looks a little different than it did a year later or 5 years later. And on her death day, I woke up, immediately remembered, obviously, because I was thinking about it the night before, and then prayed and continued on my day in the details. And that is really the part that I think we miss sometimes as Christians when we say give it to God. We take the whole overarching package, I think, and go, okay, here you go. I'm going to try to not worry now. And well, that's great. If you're physically capable of doing that, then wonderful. I know that I'm a planner, and so I do the every little detail thing, and you like to have control of situations, as I do, and so you're looking at every little piece. So when we give it to God, I feel like that prayer should not be, all right, God, take the day that's really hard from me and just make me not think about it. Giving it to you. Okay, God, take the day that I have the interview and that's it. No, God, prepare me and give me peace as I'm preparing. Show me which things I should be working on. Don't let me get distracted as I'm working on this. Can you help my wife keep the kids a little farther back from my office while I'm trying to prepare for this? Ensure that I'm doing my due diligence and that I know at the end of the day that even if I don't get this, I did everything I was supposed to do. I had the work ethic necessary to get the job done, and somebody else must just have been a better fit. But that piece also can come from being willing to accept a no with understanding you did everything you could for the
I think
job.
that's the part that I'm getting hung up on is I have not yet done everything that I need to do to be prepared. I don't know what time it is right now, but
Everyone's like, well, you're talking to each other right now instead of working on your interview stuff.
that's where my brain's at. And
yeah, this will be a shorter episode.
Honestly, I think it's good though, right? I've been staring at that monitor outside of sleep for the better part of 48 hours. And I think, God gives us a bunch of different gifts, obviously. And one of those is our personality and our communication style and the way that we interact with other people. And when you're glued to a screen building a presentation and extremely long script, if you will, to follow to be able to present hyper technical information, you start to lose your voice and your communication style, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that taking in an hour or so and just resetting and reminding myself what I'm rooted in, and it isn't that this is an opportunity that I might be able to use to serve my family, but it's not who I am, right? And so I think taking a second to get back to what's important is probably the most healthy reset I could have in trying to make sure that this is right. But no, I do want to get to the point where I can honestly say, hey, I did everything I could. I showed up on time, prepared, and I met the requirements, and I showed them who I am and what I can bring to the table. If I can say all of those things honestly, I'm cool with whatever. My nervousness is around the fact that we're less than 24 hours away and I'm not ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have the presentation done. I have an outline of what I'm going to say. But like gun to head, could I speak right now through that whole presentation? No. So
no, but you can see it on the screen, and your brain does work in an associative way where you
go, of course.
Oh, I saw that.
And really, that's all I'm trying to do right now. Is like I started this by saying I'm going to type every word I'm going to say for every slide for the entire time slot, and I'm going to say it so many times that I remember it word for word.
Right.
And now I'm like, there might be humans that could do that. It ain't me.
Right.
And so I'm like,
wait, real quick, what's a Chinstrap for? It is.
Do I have to say it?
Yeah.
A Chinstrap is designed to provide a limited amount of additional helmet retention in conditions such as high winds. They're going to want to know why you asked me to say that.
I mean, it just is clearly an odd
Listen, she's trying to demonstrate the fact that I have a good memory. Okay. In 2010, I was on the ship that I was stationed on in the Navy, and we're sitting there doing an underway replenishment, which is where another ship comes alongside of you and gives you mail, packages, more fuel, what have you. And there's a lot of standing around that happens once you hook up to the other ship. And I'm sitting there. We all had to wear hard hats. And they had to have the little chin strap, little elastic thing. It was the silliest thing. Because like, if a warship crashes into another warship and you're on top of it, what's the hard hat going to do? It's just the whole thing is just kind of ridiculous.
But anyway, if there's winds, I'm just saying.
You need additional helmet retention.
You're
covered. Retention. So listen, why do I have a feeling this is going to be titled Chinstrap? It's ridiculous. So I'm sitting there. I take the hard hat off. There's this coveted nap that happens during an unrep. Once, like, if you're refueling, it takes like 45 minutes or so. And so you can kind of just lay there and your work day is paused. And so, we're wearing K-Pop life jackets.
Nothing like a non-skid nap.
That's right. You posture it just right. So if you lay flat on your back, you have a perfect little pillow and you can just nap. There's pictures on my Facebook of me taking the best unrep nap I've ever had. Anyway, so hard hat's off. I'm looking at it and I see this warning tag on the chin strap. And I'm like, what could they possibly be warning us about on a chin strap? So I look at the tag and I read it, and it said a chin strap is designed to provide a limited amount of additional helmet retention in conditions such as high winds. And I think now, as an adult understanding liabilities and things, it's probably a disclaimer, right? It's saying that, like, hey, it didn't say severe winds, right? Didn't say it would stay on no matter what. We said limited. Like this, I understand what they were going for. But in 2010, I was 19, 18, depending on the month. I was just like flabbergasted by what a dumb, unnecessary group of words were on this chin strap. Like if you have a hard hat on and a chin strap on and you don't know what the chin strap's for, we have bigger problems. So I was like, I have to tell Rich when I get back to the shack what is on this chin strap, this most ridiculous thing. But I was like, oh, I can't let myself forget that.
Mm-hmm.
So I read it like 5 or 6 times, and then I went in.
Does Rich have it memorized too?
I'm sure not, but he would do what you just did to me all the time. Like we'd be out like at a bar in Spain, and he'd be like, "Hey, Kayle, what's chin strap for?" And I'd be like, locked in, and just like recite it. So yeah, now it's been 16 years, and I still remember what that stupid little warning label said. Well, anyway, one sentence is slightly different, just marginally different from the level of information in this never-ending presentation.
Right. But what you need to memorize when you need to
is what the chin strap's for in general.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. And honestly, and getting back to like the authentic voice and your personality and communication style and things, those things come from, I built a PowerPoint that has very brief summaries of the entire script that I read. But you're right. If I look at the screen and it says blank, then talk about that. Right. There's just certain components of this that I've never done. And that's where the nervousness comes into as well. I don't have time to fully like dive in and research all these separate things. Nor is my prospective employer expecting me to be an expert in these things, but there are things on there that at a glance, I don't know that I would have enough to say just yet. And that's where this evening will come into play. Right. But anyway, no, that was a good reminder. I just want to be prepared. That's all. That's where my stress is at. I think I already have peace with the outcome.
That's the giving it to God prayer.
Yeah.
Hey, God, I'm giving this anxiety about this to you in this moment, not the end all be all at the end of it, because there really is no end, truly. I mean, the interview happens, you either get it or you don't, and then you move on to the next thing, some other interview, some other opportunity. We start planning whatever the financial plan is after that, right? But in this moment in time, when you're feeling some kind of way, you're feeling defeated, or it was the week of Mother's Day and I was feeling sad, or Elijah was unsure about his academy and what he's going to be doing for the next year, all of it. Even now, I have to give that to God. My son is officially going to be gone for a year, well, like 7 months, and I'll see him on weekends and games and stuff, but he lives hours away from me now, starting in, the end of August? I'm not okay with that. I'm not ready for him to go off like that. I was supposed to have 4 more years left. So I'm giving that to God. Not in the, hey, in August, because right now I'm having tears about it. I'm going, okay, God, it feels like every time I even was trying to let this be a no, because I couldn't let go of my baby boy, you showed me a yes. So give me the peace in this moment. Give me the peace in my stress moments to choose him and spend the time now, instead of, hey, could you guys be quiet? I'm busy doing this. Hey, could you guys stop it? I'm trying to work. Hey, we have this podcast. I need you all to disappear for an hour. But with all of those pieces, it's brought a different reality to me now and how I spend the time.
Sure.
Shoot, the other night when he was just like sitting on the bed chatting with me and you were kind of like, I'm ready to go to bed now.
It was midnight.
There was a part of me, though, that was like, he's leaving soon. Yeah. I'm going to get every minute I can. And I prayed to God for these moments. And he, luckily, even as a 14, almost 15-year-old boy, still wants to sit on mom's bed and talk to her about his day and his life and ask questions. And not everybody gets that with their teenager. So I'll take what I can get, because he might go hang out with a pile of boys for 7 months and come back not wanting to talk to anybody. I don't know. And I pray that that's not the case. But I'm giving that detail to God. I'm giving the who he's going to change into to God. I'm giving the time that I'm not going to spend to God. And I'm giving the right now anxiety and how I choose to spend my time to God. In the moments when I am crabby and not trying to have kids all over the place, and I get there's only 3, but it feels like there's 100 sometimes. All those are in the details. And so with your job interview coming up, it's the moment where you have that stress. It isn't, I'm so stressed, I don't know how this is going to work out. It's in this moment, I feel unprepared. God, what can I ask of you in my heart posture right now to feel more prepared? How can I ask for peace? What is the detail? Whether it is, hey, can you tell my wife to stop coming in here 300 times? because she's driving me crazy? Or can you have my wife go take the kids outside because they're too loud? Or can you find another way for me to have a better laptop because this one keeps shutting off on me? Whatever it is, they're all like little tiny pieces. They're all details, though.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the misunderstanding, big picture, with Christians, especially speaking to either like new believers or non-believers, when it's, well, give it to God, and we sound bananas.
Yeah, and I think some of the onus is on the recipient too, right? Like, surely when you said give it to God, to me, my brain immediately went, well, yeah, the outcome. Like that's what you were saying,
right?
And I think that the same thing with surrender. I talk a lot on TikTok about surrender, and how partial surrender is not surrender,
right?
And these things, and it's like, when you tell someone and they're like, man, I just don't know how I'm going to get through this, and you're like, bro, surrender that at the foot of the cross right now. His yoke is easy, his burden is light. You don't have to carry that by yourself. That all sounds reassuring, but if you're not, as the recipient of that statement, if you are not fully understanding what that means in the process of that, I think it falls on deaf ears, even amongst believers, because we know these things. When you say something like give it to God, we're like, duh, but like, I'm stressed, bro. And I don't know. There's certainly, like, the old adage that I probably said every episode on here, like, don't pray for a hole while you're leaning on the shovel God gave you.
Right.
You got to dig, is my point. And maybe the prayer looks like, help me not run out of stamina. Help me not run out of energy. Help me keep this pace. Help me stay motivated. Help me keep my eyes on the prize while I dig and do the work.
I think some people might respond, though, to that with, well, why waste my time?
Yeah.
So I feel like I've heard that a lot. And I don't know what your rebuttal to that is, but like, my thought is, now you feel better about the work you did, because you'd always be questioning yourself forever if you just went, like the one that you didn't go to. You told me last night about an interview somewhere.
2017. Yeah, they said, hey, man, we like you, but you have to prove it. If you want to be here, you have to show us that you fully understand every single facet of this product. And I was like, all right, I can do that. And they're like, all right, cool. Drive across town. We'll do a luncheon. There's going to be a great big whiteboard at the front of the room. Yeah. You have an hour.
Oh, it was across town?
Yeah, it was in Hampton Roads. When we were in like Norfolk, it was across the bridge.
I thought it was like a get on a plane travel here to do that. And I'm like, okay, well,
it was probably like 45 minutes. But it was the principle of the thing. I couldn't hide behind a screen. I couldn't be on the other side of a phone. I couldn't, turn my camera off for a millisecond and like, right? Like, I, just getting out of the military, not really knowing a whole lot in technology, was going to have to stand there with an expo marker and an hour and have a front row of experts, and I'm supposed to teach them something that I didn't fully understand. And I said, no, thanks. I actually think, if my memory serves me correctly, I think I just ghosted him. I don't think I ever responded. Like, I was so ashamed that I didn't have the like fortitude to go through with it that I just like disappeared. And this 9 years later is like the very first interview of a very similar caliber since then. Right. And bro, it's intimidating. I mean,
but now you're using the shovel.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to, right? I think I've done most of the things I have to do. I don't know. I think most people don't interview well. I don't know that I've met anyone that's like, nah, I love interviewing, man. I think, my favorite thing. It's a stressful thing inherently, but I think performance-based interviews are a whole different beast. Yeah. It's not, hey, we see in 2020 you worked at CVS and, you single-handedly made the receipts 400% longer. Like, tell us about how that worked. How much money did you lose doing that? How many additional trees lost their lives? Right? Because like, that's something that you could speak to if that was your contribution to society. But this interview format is highly theoretical. Yeah. This, but just for the sake of talking about it, the boss says, hey, man, here's the requirements for your interview. And I was like, that's already intimidating. Okay, what do we got? And it was like, we're going to be on a panel. You're going to show up. We're a customer. here's our long laundry list of technical problems we've run into. We want you to identify one of the following solutions in technology that could fix our problems. So that should be part of your presentation, is addressing our issues, providing a solution. Now pause. We need you to address some theory around how all of this works in general, with some best practices, regulatory stuff that the government has set in place and other entities have set in place, while maintaining a balance between selling us something and technical depth without going too hard in either direction.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the 20th. And I was like, oh, what? But I mean, it is what it is. It's not experience based in so much as tell me about a time when X, right? It's,
you had a difficult client you had to deal with.
Yeah, like tell me three things you're good at and one thing you need to work at.
We could do a part 2 to this, and I could just interview you and see how you do.
We could just like we could do that. No, but for real, yeah, I don't know. It's part of me likes this format more because I'm not walking into a complete unknown, right? Like if I have even the first 5 minutes of this presentation in stone, then I control the initiation of said interview, and that's always the hardest part, right? It's that breaking the ice,
right?
Shaking off those nerves that have built up while you're waiting on it. Like as long as I can go in there, and I guess maybe that's my prayer, is I don't need to be perfect for an hour. Help me be good enough in the first 5 minutes, because I think from there, people make up their mind about you pretty quickly. Like whether we want to admit that or not, how you look, how you're dressed, if you showed up on time, if you have a pleasant demeanor, things like that stand out. And so I think, if I can walk in there confident, poised, on time, no technical issues, God willing, that's another prayer, I guess. And just like nail the first couple minutes, then I think it'll just flow from there.
The nose pimple went away though, so there's that.
It did, kind of. It still kind of hurts a little bit.
But that was a concern.
I'm afraid it's gonna come back. Yeah, that was brutal. But yeah, I don't know. And I mean, just like little things, right? Like we had a podcast scheduled today. They reached out, rescheduled it. We had a second podcast scheduled for today on top of that, technical issues. That's no longer happening. And so just like the academy stuff, when I start to look at the way that the cards are hitting the felt here, it's starting to feel like, even if I think I'm the first one who's doing the panel.
Set the bar high.
That's what I'm saying. And like part of me was like, well, hold on. What if they interview 8 people and I'm forgettable because they had 7 more recent things after that? And I was like, no, you know what? Go in there and perform well enough that they don't want to do a second interview with anybody else.
They just cancel and everything?
They're just like, why would we even want
there's multiple roles though too, right? So I think they're kind of seeing who fits best.
One role. That was a different job.
That was a different...
Yeah. That actually, they canceled that completely. Not even on me. They canceled like the program.
Well, that was good timing, because what if you'd gotten that and then this was the opportunity
that
really was...
Yeah, I wouldn't have even had this conversation with these people if I had been starting over there. And that's when I say, like, the way the cards are coming out on the felt, like the river or the flop was good, the turn was good. I'm waiting on the river card tomorrow, but like I think
waiting on the Kayle Rivers card.
I think I'm holding the flush. You know what I mean?
Probably used a lot with you.
Not as often as you'd think.
Well, I'm gonna start saying it all the time.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna be podcast. You're gonna be Kayle Rivers card.
I can't do this. Anyway, yeah, it feels like a lot of things are landing exactly the way that they should.
Right.
Even the recruiter. We had our initial conversation scheduled, and like 10 minutes before, he messaged me and was like, "Hey, I have to cancel. I'm going through a family tragedy. Like right this second. I can't. Like, could you please be patient with me or what have you?" And I didn't hide my faith. I responded telling him I was going to be praying for him, and I asked that God bless whatever's happening and that He knows that just whatever. Like I exposed my beliefs before I ever spoke with this recruiter, and I think especially in technology, but mostly in the professional world, we're a Christian at home, we're a Christian in the world, but at work we're like in professional mode, and like because
we're afraid to scare people away
or like get in trouble. By like coming off like you're pushing something on somebody. You know what I mean? Just like societally, that's how we feel. I'm at a place in my faith where like, I don't care.
Right.
If I work for somebody who is offended by or has an issue with my faith, then I don't want to work there.
Yeah.
And that might sound dramatic, but like for real, like I will never. That doesn't mean you have to go into work and like break people over the neck with a Bible, right? But like you will know I'm a man of faith and that I have convictions and that I operate. I try to keep myself to a very high moral standard because I know that when people get to know me, they know that I claim to be a man of God. So my actions, my words, and how I interact with others should be a direct reflection of Christ-likeness. Not that I'm perfect, but that's what I should be striving for. I actually would like to think that an employer would be excited about somebody who is heavily in faith, because that means you should be getting someone who operates with a high moral compass, with integrity, with things of that nature. So anyway, I shared my faith with him immediately. He thanked me for it. We ended up getting on the phone. He actually had to reschedule the second. So he rescheduled, and then the rescheduled call he pushed. He messaged me back, and I didn't know the level of family emergency he was going through or anything, but when he messaged me back right before our second attempt at speaking, he let me know that he was actively at the funeral home trying to wrap something up. So then I knew that it was a more personally
pressing.
Well, and like in his immediate circle, right? It's not like
I guess if it's like
cousin's grandma's dad choked on a CVS receipt or whatever. Like,
what is with you in the CVS?
They're so long.
They're scarves. It's multi-purpose.
I got you. Anyway, so yeah, no, then I understood it was something like immediate, and then it changed my tone because I was like, oh my gosh, what if it was his wife or his children or whatever? And so I was like, dude, I'll honestly take all the time you need. I'm in no hurry. Like, just know that I'm praying for you. But let me know when you're free. So when we ended up speaking, instead of it being kind of a cold, hi, I'm a recruiter, you're a candidate, let's get down to brass tacks, it started with grace. It started with gratitude for grace. He was like, man, you don't even understand. There was a handful of people that I was scheduled to speak with. I obviously had to reschedule with all of you. There was a handful of people who were really rude to me. I built my whole day around that call. I took off work. I did this, I did that, and you couldn't even show up. And he was like, bro, and like, I'm not going to say who he is, so I'll just explain the situation. His mother's father, who was very close geographically and relationally to them, had passed away unexpectedly. And so like, not only was he dealing with the loss of his father-in-law, but also consoling his wife and like trying to help her get the funeral home.
You said his mother's father.
Sorry, his spouse's father, his wife's dad, his father-in-law. So like, I'm sure he has a relationship and he's grieving that, but he's also trying to help keep his wife together and be employed and be a father and all these things all simultaneously. And not patting myself on the back, but I went in trying to be graceful and trying to show love and be the things that we're called to be. And it went a long way with him. And so as we spoke, I told him just straight out of the gate, like, dude, I am a firm believer in Jesus. Like, I'm going to be continuing to pray for you and your wife and your family and stuff. And he didn't speak on his faith, but he appreciated it. And that started my relationship with him from there. Like, out of the jump, who I am, what I believe in, what I stand for, what's important to me, and how I'll be supporting you in prayer.
It also tells you they're not going to write you off for your faith.
Right.
And it also kind of helps if you get the job and the whole group of them are going to a freaking strip club because they're at some convention. And like, obviously that doesn't seem like the most professional thing to do. But I mean, I worked at a place where one dude, he did end up getting fired, but he was apparently like doing coke with the
offering drugs to
trying to sell,
right?
And then like there's a couple people in the company that were like hooking up and were not single.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things happening and a lot of alcohol involved, and that's company events. Oftentimes turn into debauchery,
especially in
knowing your faith. That like, I think they might reel that back for you.
And I don't think that this company does that.
Well, that's good.
And like, who knows, right? It's a massive company. I'm sure they have
nobody's perfect,
more debaucherous business units or whatever. But like, these guys, the ones that I've spoken to, and that was another thing for me. We've been out of the military since 2017. It's been 9 years now somehow. And I don't think I've ever stayed at any one job more than 2 years since I got out. And it's not because like I'm a failure or they are trash or like any of those things. In technology, when you first get on the market, you get paid pretty low unless you get lucky, right? And not that it's all about money, but very quickly I learned that about 2 years in today's day and age where there's no pensions, there's no retirement plans. I mean, outside like 401k, there's no company provided, if you stay here for 20 years, we will compensate you for life because you gave us 20 years. That's really majorly a thing of the past.
Yeah.
So there is no incentive to stay at one place for 20 years unless you're really being taken care of or you love it. And in technology, it's such a high attrition industry.
Yeah.
There was a guy at the first place I worked at when I got out. He made like $25 an hour less than everyone else on the team who had been hired in the last few years, and he had been there for like 12. And like I made it my business to let him know, like, dude, just so you know, I'm 20, whatever, 5, no, 6, I don't know, whatever. I was that age. This is my first real job outside of the military. This is what I'm making per hour. And he's like, you shouldn't tell me that. That's like an HR thing. I was like, show me in the HR handbook where it says that. Dude, you are getting taken advantage of because you've been here for so long. Yeah. You're getting taken advantage of because you're the guy who does all the collateral duties. You go above and beyond. They know that you seem happy enough that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Right. And so he ended up negotiating really big rates because I started talking to the other guys and I'm like, how much you making an hour? And they're like,
you can't say
that. I'm like, who says you can't say that?
Well, look at the contract that we almost signed for the other academy. I mean, it was like, you cannot say anything that's in this contract to any other parent because, the top tier kid is probably going for free, whereas the tier 4 kid who they're willing to train is paying the whole amount more.
No, I guess what I was getting at with that, though, is like, it's highly beneficial in technology.
Or project-based. I mean, some of them are like, contract beginning and end.
You will only be here for 6 months, that kind of deal.
Right,
yeah, I did a lot
you built the thing or you did the thing and it's not life cycle based or managed service based, so then you're just out.
But what made me really happy about this role, there's 8 people on my team. I would be the 9th. And that was another weird like synchronicity, if you will, is that all 8 of these people are in geographically different places in the country and they all have an area of responsibility that they cover. Right. So it's like as you know, it's a partially travel-based technology sales solutions kind of situation. So like there's a guy in Texas, there's a guy in Seattle, there's a guy in Jersey. Like there's people who are covering those respective areas. They don't have anyone in the Northeast. And they've been specifically trying to find someone in the Northeast.
Here you are.
And I popped in and they're like, where do you live? And I'm like, a couple hours north of Boston.
That is north and east.
They're like, no way. I'm like, let's get it. So that was another one of those things where like it just felt good. But 2 of the guys, the only 2 who interviewed me for my second round, they're both people who would be my peers. One of them's been at the company 31 years.
Wow.
The other one been at the company 12 years. And I was like, holy cow, 31 years at a company in technology? That's unheard of. And he went, not here, it's not. And it's something like that where,
if they're happy, then why leave?
That's what they said. They said this is the absolute best place to work in every respect. They're like work-life balance and financially. They do 2 different forms of financial increase every year. Like one's like a cost of living, one's like merit-based. They have a bonus structure. They have almost like a commission type structure component to it as well. They do heavy continuing education, professional development, like grants and stuff. One of the guys said that he was recently, technology is something that is always evolving, obviously. And so there was something that was coming out or an issue or something, and he wanted to do a presentation on it.
Yeah.
This company does a lot of like symposiums, conferences, things where they go speak on emerging issues and things like that. And so the company granted this guy who would be on my team $1 million in R&D to go figure it out. Like not to his bank account, obviously.
Right, but like it costs money to research and develop.
to grab all of it. And so like to him and a couple of the other guys at the company who were passionate about figuring this problem out, they're like, here you go. If you think that's important, we back you, go do it.
Right.
And so they're like at every turn, if I want to get another certification, they back me, they pay for it, they help me train. If I think that there's a huge issue in technology that needs to be addressed, they financially back me and they support me to do it. If I want to go to my kid's soccer game, one of the guys said he has not missed one of his kids' soccer games yet, and they practice at like 4 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Wow.
And he's like, you can't beat it.
Right.
And that's something that I've never had.
Right. It's either be a great parent or be really good at your job.
Yeah.
Mixing the 2 is really difficult.
And the more money you get paid, the more demand on your time there
right.
is. And here it seems like a really healthy balance of fair pay and more than fair home life balance. So anyway, that obviously things like that are really important to me. as badly as we could use a couple extra bucks, I'm not willing to not be present.
Right.
Especially after the military, I'm not going to do like we need you on an oil rig for the next 4 months.
Right.
You'll see your kids in February.
Right.
Like, I can't.
But
it's
even
not worth
knowing that you could go into a situation where when you think that there should be some sort of change, process change, you aren't working under a tyrant, which you've often been under, who says you absolutely are doing it my way. That's it. No change. I literally get hired to make change. Right. And almost every time when I first go in, the first thing they say, well, you can't work in a vacuum. Well, I'm not trying to. You were. You begged me to help you change, and you refused. Cotter wrote a book in the 90s about change management, and one of the number one pieces is getting buy-in from everyone else. Yeah. It isn't a, hey, I'm making this change, it's over. So them saying, hey, here's the financial backing. Hey, team, we're going to back him on this change, and we want to stay scalable. A company that wants to be scalable on their team's merits and understanding and research will go a lot farther than a company who thinks that the 2 leaders that they have are the smartest people in the room, because there's a high chance that they're not.
Well, and that's how you make people stay for 30 years too, right? Because
they feel heard.
In technology, it's really easy to be a one-trick pony. When I first got into, and not that this whole podcast should be about technology, I guess, but when I first was working at that very first company that I worked at when I got out, people were picking a product, like a specific vendor, and trying to be like a subject matter expert of that, right? We had like McAfee, we had Symantec, we had Splunk, we had Tanium, we had all of it. And so like people would go, I want to be the Tanium guy.
Right.
And so they'd like start abandoning, because we kind of did it all at the same time, like whatever was on fire we were working with. But people kind of naturally, or not naturally, intentionally dug deeper into one and kind of pushed everything else off on other people. And not everyone, but a lot of people told me back then, like, dude, you want to make real money in this space? Be perfect at one of these things, but you can't keep trying to juggle 5. And I never did. I never chose to go that way because, there was a time where one of those products got in trouble with the Department of Defense, and they talked about removing all their products from all military branches. At the time, I was only doing military contracts and only working in this small bubble of technology. And so my fear was, if I become the insert product here guy and that product is no longer the new hotness, I'm out of a job.
Well, look at what one of our partners right now, their main bread and butter is Citrix. And Citrix has dialed it down a lot. Yeah. And they're changing who they sell through. They're changing a lot of things. And again, I don't want to make this about all technology, but at the end of the day, if you put all your eggs in one basket, you're at some point going to run out of eggs. Yeah. Something's going to fail. But that's kind of the beauty of your personality. And this job feels as though it was meant for the gifts that God has given you as who you are. And sometimes those gifts for you have been difficult to deal with they want you to be a one-trick pony type of places, because that you aren't that person that sits in your mom's basement for 25 hours just writing code. That's not who you are.
No disrespect.
No, right. Anybody who loves that, great on you, but you are a personable human. You want to talk to people. You are good with people, and you are good at collecting lots of information about lots of different pieces of technology or any other topic. So being able to utilize that's almost, it feels like it's a disservice to themselves if they don't hire you. But at the end of the day, if it's not God's will for you to have this job, then it's not. But I look at it from an angle of, if you're putting in the work, then you should have peace on any result here at the end of the day, regardless of what the puzzle piece needs for you to be the open area, rather, for you to be the puzzle piece that fits. You're not going to fit perfectly, but so far they feel like you're close enough to get to the 3rd round, so it's all in the details. Again,
I also really like that analogy, the puzzle piece thing, because like, as you said that, my brain was like, right. And if I have like one extra bump on one side, I'm not willing to cut it off to fit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Which is like the ministry piece, I think that's,
and that's something that like, those have been what more my prayers have been, honestly.
Right.
It's, don't let me compromise who I am to chase $1. And if I get this job, let me steward the blessings well. Right. Let it be a vehicle, let it be jet fuel on my ministry.
Right.
Let it not replace
you don't know who you're going to meet there.
Right.
Sometimes, we're praying for this opportunity because of our financial need, or what you'd be happier doing in a job that feels a little more pre-sale salesy than full nerddom. Then great, but the bigger picture we don't see, that God has a vantage point over, is the 4 guys who also work there, who see you as an influence at some point in their lives. And I'm not saying you're going to beat them over the head with the Bible, but who you are as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a worker, your work ethic, all of those things are an influence to the people that you work with. You don't know that you're not going to change one life, and then maybe you only work there for a year because you did the thing that God wanted you to do.
Sure.
Because now there's a new guy in heaven, where we see it personal and selfishly in every way, as humans do. But the bigger picture is, who are you influencing?
Or even selfish adjacent, right?
Right. I'm not saying it like you're being.
I mean,
I'm saying we don't.
Right. I mean, it's not even
picture.
Just about yourself, right? It's about the house. It's about everybody here. I'm looking at it like, how do I best serve you? How do I best serve the children? That's my selfishness. And it is inherently selfish, I think, because I'm worried about my home. But you're right. There's always more to it.
Right.
And I don't know. I think, as you were talking earlier, another point of nervousness kind of flicked me. And it was more, I already know it. It's just a realization, I guess. But
I added nervousness. I did.
No, it's just the way that you frame something. My brain kind of had a little snap back on.
Oh no.
You had said something like they would be missing out if they didn't hire me or something. I was like, easy. But that's not my point. But in that somewhere, I was like, right. But I agree to an extent, not that it would be their loss, but I do agree that I'm a really good fit for this position.
Right.
The interview, it says the first 5 minutes, who are you and why do you deserve this job? I have 5 minutes to explain who I am, which would take 20, and then tell them, without being cocky, why I deserve the job before the presentation. And that time constraint reminds me of the time constraint of the entire interview, and that I know who I am. I remember the situations where not being pigeonholed into one technology was beneficial for this new job. Right. They said that they sell, and I won't say the number because then people can probably figure out what the company is, but they sell a multitude of different technologies, and I would be representing any of them on any given day. Not, you are this product guy, become an expert. It's, can you pick it up quickly? And it reminds me of when I worked for that company. They bought Splunk. They didn't buy the company Splunk. They procured licensing for Splunk. No one knew Linux, which is the operating system that Splunk runs on most of the time, and no one understood Splunk. And it uses its entire own programming language. And it's not that far off from major stuff, but either way, it's mostly plain language. But still, it has all of its own nuances. No one knew, and no one had time. And they were like, who here is willing to try? And I raised my hand. They flew me from Virginia to San Diego for a week or two to learn everything I could from a Splunk employee who was a architect level guy. And I came back and I knew my way around Linux. I understood the basic concepts of SPL, Splunk programming language, and I knew enough that we installed, 4 separate Splunk servers, interconnected them all, and deployed it across the world's largest private network. And subtle flex, but none of those other guys were comfortable taking it on because they were the Symantec guy or the McAfee guy or this guy. And I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just want to learn.
Right.
And that's an asset in this role. And so my fear is I may know who I am. I may know what I'm good at and what I'm not as good at and how I could be of benefit. But can I explain that in 5 minutes? And then can I demonstrate it in an hour? Well.
And the bigger question is, can you give it to God anyway in the moment and let him remind you who you are and why you have this opportunity in the first place?
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be a learning moment or whether it's going to be something that helps change the family. Even if, as you're telling stories about your previous technological jobs, moments, failures, opportunities, every single one of those has been a stepping stone to this moment coming up. Right. And we don't know if this leads to something that we consider good or if it leads to a learning moment.
Oh, is this a plateau or just another step?
Right. Is this the same way the original academy that we thought was the shoe-in for Elijah ended up being the stepping stone to make us even consider that as an option? Because we never would have gone, I know, send him to the tier 1. Speaking of that, there's other opportunities in your life in ministry right now. And with that, I recently had to do a second interview where I had to give it to God because I am a huffy, puffy, angry person.
You are?
And I have a hard time being questioned. And I had to do multiple interviews to, I don't even want to say defend, but to explain my heart posture now versus when I was getting multiple divorces and what happened in my life, and that I don't take marriage for granted because, well, they appreciate a great testimony. They don't want the wife of someone in ministry to be someone who doesn't take the marriage seriously. And so I had to do a lot of praying and heart checking of myself to go into that. Just for the sake of your other opportunities in ministry and where God is leading you. And that's not to say the two items can't coexist, depending on how this all works out over time.
No, I think they should. Right. I think that, the specific area of ministry that I'm getting into doesn't pay anything for the first couple of years, and that's not what it's about necessarily. But year 3 and 4, you start getting a very, very small stipend. And it's like, think a tank of gas or 2 a month kind of thing to get you from point A to point B, but it is not a full-time salaried kind of thing. And there's some people who get into this exact same pipeline as me, who are either established in their careers already, and can just kind of allocate weekends and free time to building this thing. Or you have people who are a little older and maybe have a nest egg that they can, pull from or what have you. I'm not old. I don't have a nest egg and don't have a job. So I think that if I want to take this ministry seriously, I have to be able to justify it. And like that sounds maybe like a little weird. Obviously, doing ministry work is the highest level work we can do. It's the most rewarding, both for us, for the people we affect, and to God. And God will provide for our needs. But back to the shovel in the hole, if I have a way to financially support my ministry, I should do that. And why do I think that should be within cybersecurity? Well, because since I was 17 years old, God has had me in this field. So why I had gotten to a point over the last year and a half or two where I felt the call, I felt the pull to ministry, and I didn't know what exactly it looked like. Obviously, it's taken some different forms of TikTok and the YouTubes and at brick and mortar churches, and now this opportunity that's arisen. Like there's a lot of different components to it, but part of my brain got to a point where when I got laid off from that last position that I went, oh, well, now I have the free time to go full throttle on ministry. Obviously, that's what I'm supposed to do. I must be released from technology work altogether. And
joke's on you.
I clung on to that because I'm like, it makes sense. But in my prayer life lately, it's been, why do you think I gave you a sword and I sharpened it and you just like put it back in the pantry? Do people keep sharp swords in their pantry?
You can if you want to. I don't know that it's a rule that you can't.
I think I'm going to do that now. Anyway, my entire adult life, I've done one thing. And so it doesn't have to be a this or that. It can be this if your heart posture is right and you're mature enough to use what comes from that for this. And that's been honestly my most repeated prayer through this entire job hunting process has been, don't let me become who I was the last time. And let me shepherd and steward the finances that come out of this in a way that actually glorifies God and not myself. Because you and I both, and just dragging you into this with me for a second.
Oh no.
We're both really bad with keeping money. If we have $10,001 and there's a $10,000 thing that we think would be a benefit, we buy it right then.
Mine's a house project. I'm like, oh, we should totally just
tear out all the walls. We'll get
should totally $2,000 worth of drywall. And my ability to measure how much a project's actually going to cost versus like the fan for in this room. I'm like, well, honey, just put it in.
Just plug it in.
Well, the thing is, I got to tear out a wall.
There's no wiring.
Which means now I got to buy more drywall to put back over it, and then we got to paint all these things cost money.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, see, the math there just wasn't the same in my head.
Yeah, and my point in all that is like, whatever our budget is, we make work.
Yeah.
Whether that's $10 or $10,000, we make that work. And so my prayer has been that isn't how we operate. If we not come into money, but if we get to a point where we have more than we spend, which hasn't been the case for quite a while, then like help us be responsible.
That's part of the.
And I've never been the you should have like 50 grand in your savings and like live really tight kind of person. My whole youth lived fast and I lived hard. And I was like, there's a rapper, which I don't know why every podcast comes back to. It's a thing. What was the line, dude?
Are you going to pretend it's a proverb this time?
It might actually be. I think it was something like, I'm 25. I don't want a 401k. I want to have 401k or something like. And I was like, yeah. when I was in like high school, because I'm like, I'm not gonna live to be 68. Like in my head, at 18 years old or 16 years old, I'm like,
when I was 16, I thought I was going to live to 100. I'm not going to be
68. I didn't think I was going to see 30. And so I'm like, why would I store away treasures on earth rather than just enjoying my life?
Don't. Do not do that. That was cute.
There's a level of fiscal responsibility that's mature and probably very biblically sound. But I think that, I don't know. I think there's still like, you want the cow? Get the cow. Don't wait till you're 70. Like, get the cow today.
Right.
Or maybe next week. Or when you can afford it. But like.
Are we getting another cow?
Probably. I'm just kidding. But you see what I'm saying? So like, I grew up very, if you drop it if you have it kind of thing. And like now that I'm older and we have kids and they have expenses, like I'm not so much that way, but I'm also not going to be the one that's like, everyone's getting one sandwich today and the rest is going in the vault.
Right. No, there's certainly a happy medium. And I think that's the reason I'm spendier now than I used to be.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, my stepdad is very frugal, as my mother said.
I hate that word.
And so, especially because like I also grew up with the Frugal Gourmet, which was a cookbook that my mom had and a show that she watched. And so when she said frugal, I thought about food, which also explains all the. I don't know what that word. What do you stop whispering into the microphone? Anyway, it was very much like, okay, the heat is on 70, not 71. Or whatever. It's like it was like a 1 degree. And granted, he didn't like the house too warm, but it was always little things that would drive me nuts like that when I was younger. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? How much money is that going to save? And now I get it, obviously, with everybody touching all the thermostats in this house. But back then, I swore that I wouldn't be somebody who was like too nitpicky about the financial pieces, but
the
now
smaller stuff,
right? What felt smaller to me, like obviously I didn't experience an electric bill until later. I went, oh, I get it. It really wasn't even all that frugal. It was just like not going nuts. But anyway, all of that you were saying reminded me of a post I saw today on Facebook from someone who I just recently met. Actually, she is the friend of my friend that passed away recently. And she had posted something, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm probably going to get it wrong. Something to the effect of, God is not going to call you to something in your life that he's not going to help you resource. Pretty much if you can't see that it's being resourced, doesn't mean it's not. But also, if you're trying to make something happen, then you're calling it like God ordained, and every door is being slammed in your face, also probably not being called by God. But in that same front, there's the understanding that if you feel like God saying yes, 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 everything seems to be working towards it, even if you don't see that he's working in the background on it. We're talking about those puzzle pieces. Yeah. And we're looking at, okay, we got Elijah's Academy puzzle piece. We have the fact that my current contract, well, one contract left, is dying down too. And that goes along with that like Citrix piece or whatever. Everything seems to be dying down on my end. And all my time now is being spent on writing multiple books, writing blogs, editing these podcasts, and my life seems to be moving more towards the ministry side and less towards the technological side, where none of that is financially anything right now. It's just the mission. But with that, we have your job interview, which is another puzzle piece that starts to fit into all that. But our puzzles are not flat on the table. Our puzzles are 3D. So
you're gonna have to break that down. I'm still trying to figure out what frugal means.
Oh my goodness. Not spendy. All of our puzzles are 3D and we don't really see what's underneath attached. Have you seen those? You go to Walmart and seen those puzzles that are like thicker pieces and they all fit together and you can build like a cube and it's whatever, whales or whatever it is.
You're talking about Legos.
No, but okay, sure. You want to use Legos if that will help. But at the end of the day, this entire set of intertwined events that we're in the details giving each piece to God is also connected to a million other pieces that we don't see day in and day out. Those resources, the way that things are working, the fact that I'm not currently in my office right now on 15 conference calls like I used to be saying, hey, can you please handle the kids? Because I have all of this to do. Yeah. My time was so taken up that you had to be like house dad. And now it naturally seems to be shifting so that my ministry can work around the homeschooling the kids and all of the pieces with the podcast and the writing. But whether this job is it or this is the stepping stone to experience for the next potential job, all of it works with the potential ministry opportunity that you have, with the financial opportunities that you have, with us being okay with our oldest going off somewhere. And all of it has to be given to God, not just the details that you're choosing.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
But we also have to be mindful of those details. Because if you just all encompass, give it to God, then what does that even mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it sounds like nothingness, because I do think there's some lack of genuine accountability in that. And we go, okay, well, I gave it to God. But then we also like sat on the couch and watched Netflix and didn't.
But I'm giving it to God, bro.
Right.
Yeah, there's a risk mitigation, a risk avoidance, really, that comes in there in our brains where we're like deferring or transferring ownership completely of every part of it off of ourselves, right? Because that's what I do with stress. When I feel stress or anxiety or panic or any of those things, I will fully encapsulate that sensation and be like, no, I'm giving all of this to you, God. I don't want it. I can't hold it. I can't handle it. You take it. And like with a singular isolated issue that doesn't have a lot of different little, webbies coming off of it, that might work.
Little webbies.
But I was thinking of the seed potatoes I planted that had all the things, but I forget what they were called. So I just did that instead. But anyway, so in some areas of our lives, we can go, I'm feeling grief right now and I don't want to. So I'm going to refuse to. God, I need you to take this from me. That works in certain situations, but complicated situations where you have not just ownership, but there's actual action that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Right? It changes because you can't just go, whoop, I'm done. Right? Again, like I'm going to need to spend at least 5 hours probably this evening getting this where it needs to be. I can't turn my laptop off and say I'm giving this to God and show up tomorrow without, having done the work. Also, when you were talking about the gal that you met, the two Christianese expressions almost jumped out of my mouth out of instinct. I think that's how you know I've been a Christian for a minute now. It's like I think in Christian expressions and like Instagram quotes. But there's one that's really oversaid that I actually like because it's reassuring. But it says, "If God called you to it, He's gonna see you through it." And like that goes right in line with what you said, though. Like for real, if it's a yes from God, doors will open, things will move. And I think there's something to be said about the enemy because he's a little sneaky punk, and he'll make it seem like a door got slammed in your face. And that's where discernment comes in. Right. But that's where discernment comes in. Like nothing that's going to happen will be contrary to the words of the Bible. And nothing will blaspheme the Spirit.
Somebody's offering you drugs that is not God opening a door.
I'll give you this job if you leave your wife.
Probably not God's open door.
And then the other one was the one that I thought Matt came up with when I was a baby Christian. And then you were like, what? Then everyone says that. But I remember we even went to Matt's church, and it was like a placard on the wall. And I was like, that's so thoughtful of them to make that placard of Matt saying. Like, he's so involved in the church. It was the God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call.
Yeah.
I thought your stepdad made that up.
He didn't.
I know that now. Anyway, that's the other thing. It's like, just because you don't see who you're being forged into while you're in the fire doesn't mean you're not coming out of the furnace different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all healthy perspective. And that's all helpful for my brain going into this. Because like really all I can do is pray that the people who are going to interview me's hearts are soft.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a weird thing to say if you're not a Christian.
I don't think so. I mean, I think
like squishy hearts. Like
no, I think people understand the softened heart at any situation.
Open-minded,
empathy.
I hope they like don't like have to put their dog down right before we have their interview and like come in mad, or like maybe they.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
Just like
what a very specific thing. You know what? You should pray about that one.
Yeah.
Pray for all the dogs tomorrow.
Bro, right when we get on the call. Hey guys, before we start, I'd just like to ask, are all of your dogs okay? Is this a Baja Men joke? No, I'm curious.
Oh no. It took me a long time after many basketball seasons of that song being played, but now you have reminded me of it.
At B&G's, the sporting goods store that we go to, there is a sign that says, please don't let the dogs out on the door. And every time I see it, I'm like,
I've never read it and thought of that song. Now that you've done this to me, I will.
Can I tell you something?
And so I'd like to just start by saying, this is the song that never ends.
We're from a different generation. That doesn't do anything for me. I'd like to let you know that I actually took a picture of that sign when I went to B&G's last week so that I could post something about this, and haven't. But I stuck a picture on my phone.
But now here we have it. We have so many options for titling this podcast this time. Because we could go
frugal chin straps.
Yeah, frugal chin straps. We let the dogs out.
Yeah.
There's so many more Christianese.
It's a lot. Anyway, this was beneficial for me, I think. Obviously, there's some degree of my willingness to participate in this that's avoidance and procrastination. But I think that my head is on a little bit better. And I hope that anyone else that's going through anything where there's an unknown can take something from this. As silly as this was, I think that we covered a lot of real stuff. I think most of our life we spend in the unknown. It's like hockey in a weird way. I was watching a YouTube video about hockey and how many hours people, like professionals, spend stick handling, like practicing, right? Just like, how do I have the puck? Da, 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 da. I forget the exact numbers, so I'm going to totally just make this up. But the thing that I saw said that of the entire like 60-minute game, the average person touches the puck for like 45 seconds collectively.
Yeah.
And so like that season of practicing, or even in the game when you don't have the puck, but that's like the thing that you practice for, that season in between is what a lot of our lives are, right? We have big moments every once in a while. We have big decisions every, so often, but the mundane, the unknown, the valleys are, where crops grow, not necessarily in the frigid climates of the peaks of the mountains. And I think that we spend 90% of our lives in the valleys. So having a good perspective on God's plan, on, if we're being called to something genuinely, the doors will open, and what level of that we should take ownership of. Yeah. And the action, right? And, love to God is a verb. I think it requires us to do something. And not, I'm not saying that, to receive God's love, we have to like perform works. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that love in its truest form is a verb. We demonstrate our love by action. Right. And so I think that it's a healthy reminder that we have holes to dig, right? And we have shovels.
Well, we can't demand answers in prayer if we're not communicating.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the biggest misconception is, well, I prayed for this and God's not answering me. Okay, maybe the answer is no. But also, have you actually talked to him? Did you just open up the request box and say, okay, I need this guy by? Or are you having a communication regularly about how you're feeling, how you have gratitude, what it is that's going on in your head? Well, he already knows, but he wants to communicate with you. He loves you. He has created you. If my kids walked up to me once a week and said, Mom, I really want this, Mom, I want the ice rink. and walked away and didn't speak to me all week, I'm not. My focus is not even on the ice rink at this point. Yeah. It's at the bigger picture. Why aren't my kids talking to me?
And I'm not saying God's petty, but
I don't even think it's pettiness. I think there's a bigger situation. Disrespect. He's over here like, I'm really concerned about your well-being and your soul right now.
And you're worried about
an ice rink.
Yeah. Or that girl that you met at
right.
such and such.
Or the job, because the money. Yeah. He's, I got your finances. You might not own what you want to own. Yeah. You might not have the things that you think you need, but you'll have the things that I know you need. You'll have food. You will be safe. However, you're not going to just beg me for the car or the job or the farm or the homestead or the husband or the baby or any of the things and then live a separate way and live however you want to and not talk to me and give all of your gratitude and understand that the little things, the ice cream you had last night, you're welcome. You're welcome for the $3 that it costs that you purchased.
Well, and we don't have his perspective. We don't have his understanding, and I think we forget that.
Right.
We overly humanize everything. Especially in prayer. And someone else said it on TikTok. I don't remember exactly how they worded it, and I'm gonna mess it up. But it was something like, most of the time when God tells you no, it's not because he's sitting up there going like, I know how badly they wanted it. Let's see how they act without it. And like maybe I don't know. I don't pretend to know God's ways, but I think a lot of the times we don't have the presence of mind to know that the not yet is because who we are today may not be able to survive that blessing.
Right.
You know, you give the guy who's in recovery a bunch of money and he overdoses. Yeah. It is an example. That's not obviously right. Whatever. Maybe you have to be sober a little longer to be able to be responsible with the money.
Yeah.
And you know, that's in all things. The not yet is because
that we weren't good stewards of money
100%.
in that. And so God took it away.
Right. And how long did I have to go without real, stable, steady employment? And what happened in that season? And that's what I was telling the guys on the Bible study the other week. I was like, don't take this like I'm hyperinflated of who I am. I'm very well aware that I'm a wisp, just like everybody else. But what I will say is that who I am from a spiritual maturity standpoint today is not who I was 2 years ago.
Right.
By any measurement, they're two completely different people. And so why do I deserve this job in my mind? Because I'm responsible enough to actually use this money for things that benefit the kingdom now. And I wasn't then. Why did I have to go without real work for 2 years? Because I needed to grow at least 2 years worth of growth before I could handle this. And it's true. I think in the beginning of actual sobriety, a lot of staying away from stuff was financial. Part of it was like, don't script the family, but the other is like, I can't afford to keep doing this. This is ridiculous.
Right.
And so, we have to be forged. We have to have, I think of woodworking a lot, right? Like, you can't start using a piece of firewood as a spoon yet. It isn't ready. It won't work, right? There's no finish on it. So it'll get rotten. It'll break, right? Like, and even along the way, when it's getting close, if you haven't taken the time to carve out a smooth, actual spooned portion of it, it's not going to work. Everything's going to spill. It's going to be messy. And then again, there's no finish. So it's going to, the substance that it touches is going to seep into like the pores of that wood and it won't come out.
Yeah.
And like God knows when we're ready to be able to handle the blessing in a way that isn't detrimental to our own health, our own goals, our relationship with God. You know how easy it is to hit the blessing really quick and forget God for a good long time? You'll hear celebrities or
rich people. That sounded like a drug reference, just so we're clear.
Oh, my bad.
Hit the blessing real quick. pass that blessing.
Sorry. You riz up the bag or whatever.
No. We're not saying no.
Yeah, but no. For real though, like you get what you want, just like with people.
Yeah.
Like you get the thing that you were after. How many guys are with a girl, especially in younger years, because they want something very specific and carnal, and then they get it, and then they ghost them. Like we do the same thing with God. We play along, we flirt back, we take him to dinner proverbially, right? And we're getting our word, we pray, and then we get the thing we were after, and we were like, thanks.
Yeah.
And so our resolve has to be different.
Yeah.
Our priorities have to be real. A lot of times for us to be the vessel that he intended us to be, complete with finish and and everything else.
Which
then you can even make a perfect spoon and use the wrong finish and it's not food safe and you can get poisoned.
Which then actually leads me back to the question of whether or not you deserve the job. And I think the actual answer is, well, I don't. This is a privilege.
Yeah.
Not something that anyone owes me. And I'll take it seriously.
I actually think it said why should you get the job? I think it's how it was
fair.
worded,
but still. If it is do you deserve it? Yeah. I mean, no. At the end of the day, you haven't done anything yet that proves that you should have the job. What will I do with it? How will I steward this job? Mm-hmm. Is really more the understanding and keeping that day in and day out. Yeah. After the first, second, third paycheck, going, okay, this was a yes from God for a reason. Are we stewarding the money from this properly? And are you still upholding the same work ethic that you have right now to stay up all night and work on something for a not guarantee? Yeah. Once, if you're there, are you still willing to put that same effort in once you have a responsibility to a client to help them understand what they need to keep their environment working properly? Or are you going to show up with half a PowerPoint and hope it goes okay? That work ethic now speaks volumes for later, but at the end of the day, the deserving is
showing up every day.
Right. At the end of the day, we don't deserve anything. Right.
There is one thing we deserve.
Right. It's death. But I think it's important to keep that in mind, the humility in all of it. And when we say, well, I'm giving it to God, you're giving it to God with a humility that you don't actually deserve this. Elijah doesn't deserve the hockey academy. You don't deserve the job. None of us deserves the money. And that worldly mindset that the world owes us because we've been through it. Even, people say it to me. You've been through so much. Your daughter with leukemia, your other daughter died, your mom, all this grief. You've been through so much and you still work so hard. You've got the degree. You did the thing. You deserve this, Cass. No, I don't. That's not how it works. I have earned a little extra character from my experience.
We got some perseverance in this house.
We got some perseverance. But at the end of the day, we are tools for God to use. Yeah. And wherever he places us as those tools and molds us is where we either continue to follow him or he takes it away.
The tools are not ready to be used safely or effectively until whoever made them says they are.
Like a chin strap? Perhaps. I mean, it's not like a full tool, but I feel like a hard hat kind of feels like something that goes with tools. And when there's high winds, you don't want a hammer.
If you don't stop this, I'm going to throw a frugal right at your forehead.
Are you going to rap at me some more?
I could.
Or we could let the dogs out.
We could.
That would be fun.
That's great.
Okay, well, you want to pray?
I think you should pray.
You want me to pray?
Yeah, I got to get back to this. So I think it was a really good time.
All right.
Thank you for taking the time today. I know we talk every day, but
this
is healthy for our marriage to just take an hour.
You know what I mean? I agree.
I appreciate it. Thank you for pouring into me too about this job.
I just love you.
I don't know if you can tell by my face, but I'm still tired and I still have a little bit of stress, but I feel so much better than I did when we started this.
I'm glad.
So I appreciate it. But no, I know I usually pray us out, but with everything going on tomorrow, I think it'd be nice if you pray.
I whacked the microphone with my hat.
You
I apologize. Lord, I thank you for this ability to sit here and have this conversation and use podcasts as something to communicate between us and to anyone else who needs to hear it. I thank you for my husband and all of his hard work. And Lord, that you would just be with him through all of the details, all of the moments, all of the work and the PowerPoint making, that you would remove the anxiety that he is feeling, and that you would give the rest of the house peace as well so that he can focus on what it is that he needs to do. I pray that anyone listening to this who is feeling overwhelmed by a moment, a job, finances, grief, their children, what it is they're supposed to be doing today or tomorrow, or a mental health issue, whatever it is that they feel like they're supposed to give to God and they don't know how, Lord, that you would show them what giving it to you really means, that they would hone in on each detail and see the time spent, that we would all, God, be able to see exactly what it is that you have meant for us and the wisdom that you have designed for us to understand your plan. That this puzzle of ours that we can't fully comprehend from your vantage point, that you would give us peace in the unknowns and the willingness to use the shovel that you are handing to us, Lord. I thank you for this ability and this time, and I thank you for this man that I married who is willing to put forth the effort to get the job and do the work and put in the time for his family and the way he serves us and loves us. And I pray he knows no matter what the outcome of this is, we respect him and love him and are so grateful for him. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.